We are putting a $100 Royal Steak Melt head-to-head against a $10 budget hack. To see which actually wins, we have to look past the marketing and examine the meat at the cellular level, comparing fat that is genetically woven into muscle against cheap injected liquid tallow. We usually associate a marbled and tender steak with high costs, but modern food science can now replicate those specific sensory markers for pennies. To calculate the true return on investment for your meal, we are establishing a baseline framework. We will evaluate natural grading, genetic marbling, and aged cheese against their scientific, engineered counterparts. This photograph shows the traditional way meat quality is established. Since 1917, the USDA grading system has relied on trained inspectors to visually assess a carcass, looking specifically at the amount of intramuscular fat and the maturity of the animal. Understanding exactly what you are paying for at a molecular level is the only way to determine if a steak melt is actually worth the price tag. Terms like marbled have moved from the farm to the factory, becoming a label for industrial manufacturing processes. In what's known as artificial marbling, heated tallow or vegetable oil is mechanically injected into lean and expensive cuts of meat. This process prevents a tough cut of beef from drying out on the grill, and it artificially inflates the visual quality grade before it ever hits the sandwich. Some restaurants exploit this by hiding the original packaging from customers. They can then present this injected meat as naturally premium and charge a significant markup. A high price tag no longer guarantees biological authenticity. When you order, you are choosing between genuine cattle genetics and deliberate chemical engineering. We'll begin the $100 sandwich with Japanese Black Wagyu. This is a strictly controlled category of improved breeds, protected by rigorous registration standards. This image shows the specific source of that quality. 97% of all Wagyu raised in Japan comes from this single breed, the Japanese Black. These cattle have a genetic predisposition to store fat inside the muscle tissue. That fat melts evenly at lower temperatures, increasing the juiciness of the meat naturally, without any external additives. This chart uses an effort versus impact framework to plot ingredients. The vertical axis tracks sensory quality, like tenderness, while the horizontal axis shows cost. Authentic Japanese Wagyu lands in the extreme top right quadrant. You get the highest possible quality, but pay the maximum price. The trade-offs are clear. You have to absorb the cost of imported breeds, and that level of fat richness can be overwhelmingly heavy for a standard steak melt. Genetic marbling offers unmatched, naturally occurring juiciness, but delivers a terrible financial return for everyday cooking. The budget-conscious path starts with a leaner, cheaper cut like USDA Select, and then applies food science to force the meat to tenderize. We use exogenous proteases, enzymes like papain from papaya or bromelain from pineapple. These chemicals work by actively breaking down rigid collagen fibers in the meat. While mechanical tenderizers like pounding the meat just smash the tissue, these enzymes chemically simulate the softness of high-grade beef. This same chart allows us to compare our scientific hack directly against the authentic Wagyu. Applying enzymes to select beef moves our result to the top left quadrant. It produces high sensory quality at a very low cost. However, over-marinating with these enzymes destroys the meat's structure, leaving it with a mushy texture, and you still lack the distinct buttery flavor that only genetic fat provides. Enzymes bypass the need for expensive genetics. They can deliver 80% of the tenderness for a fraction of the price, as long as you're careful with the texture. Now we have to look at the second half of the sandwich, the cheese melt. In heavily aged cheeses, biology changes the texture over time as proteins slowly break down. This illustration shows the formation of tyrosine crystals, a byproduct of that protein breakdown. These amino acid structures create distinct, crunchy, umami-rich pockets inside the aged cheese. The bucket alternative is a processed emulsion. These cheeses are engineered with sodium citrate to ensure they melt perfectly every time. An emulsion gives you a flawless, smooth melt, but it lacks any of the complex crystal development or deep flavor found in aged biology. With cheese, the trade-off is simple. You pay for molecular flavor complexity, or you use chemistry to get perfect meltability for cheap. To protect your wallet, you have to know how to spot the biggest trap in the modern food industry, The worst-case scenario is the middle ground, restaurants that use chemically altered budget ingredients like injected beef and then sell them to you at premium prices. Learn to check for legal qualifiers. Phrases like injected with beef fat or simulated fat covered are red flags that you are paying for manufacturing, not natural quality. Paying a luxury premium for hidden chemical engineering is the fastest way to destroy your culinary return on investment. This flowchart helps you decide which sandwich to build based on what you actually value. Choose the gourmet optimizer path if you want unparalleled sensory complexity. You are paying for the genuine molecular structure of Wagyu beef and aged tyrosine crystals. Choose the budget-conscious path for the highest ROI. By combining USDA Select Beef with enzymatic pineapple marinades and emulsified cheese, you get the best results for the least money. Food science can brilliantly hack tenderness and meltability for pennies, but the profound structural complexity of true biology remains an exclusive, unfakeable luxury.